Most real estate agents think they have a lead problem, but they don't. They have a database problem. And in an AI driven world, bad data doesn't just hurt your marketing anymore, it breaks the entire system. Most real estate agent databases and CRMs are full of trash. Duplicate records, dead emails, missing addresses, other real estate agents, and based on what we've learned, they have no idea how much business is quietly slipping through the cracks. But here's the important part. AI is about to make the gap dramatically wider. The agents who understand their database, their actual relationships, timing signals, hidden opportunities, are going to have a massive advantage over the next 1 to 5 years of real estate. In this video, we break down what that looks like, what most agents are missing, and why database quality is becoming one of the most important competitive advantages in the industry.
Today, what we're going to do is we're going to cover first our AI, then we're going to go into our marketing and how we can help you generate hand raisers and leads. Finally, we're going to cover our free data analysis and some of the data that we can help you identify in your database. We're going to look at ways that we can fix data, and then also show you some of the listings that are happening in your database. As everyone knows, it's been very turbulent in our industry over the last several years. We've had changes to the buy-side commission lawsuit. We've had changes to spamming with phone, text, and email. But the biggest challenge of all has been interest rates. When rates were at a super low level, everyone went on a buying, selling, refinancing frenzy. But now that rates are much higher, it just doesn't make sense for people to sell the home they live in, buy that same exact home at a higher price point, and then double or triple their interest rate. Clearly, people still are transacting. It's just a lot harder finding them, but that's where we come into play. So the whole goal of our program is efficiency. And as an industry, we've always taken the shotgun approach. We market to everyone, see who raises their hand, and engage from there. Problem with that is it just takes so much time, money, and resources, and most people have no intention of transacting. So you spend a lot of time, money, and resources trying to figure out who and where to spend time in your database, who is most likely to transact. Now, the way that we solve that problem is by using AI and data science, and we can show you the pieces and parts, the needles in the haystack. So rather than taking this shotgun approach, we can help you take more of a targeted approach, focus on a smaller subset of people in the database, increase frequency, but bring a little bit of order to the chaos of your database. So the goal of our program is efficiency. Now, we often get asked how we're different from other AI companies. Now, in order to answer that, I'm sure many of you have used companies or services like HomeBot, Remind, SmartTip, Offers, Fellow, and every single one of those companies uses addresses or property data in order to make predictions or build lists. They're going to look at things like time in home, balance of mortgage, how much equity you have. Companies like a HomeBot are going to market to you, the consumer, to try to get you to raise your hand for a home valuation. And the thought process is if you raise your hand, you might be in the market to buy or sell. Now, the downside of all of that is still rates. And what I mean by that is you can have equity in your home, you can live there a long time, you can raise your hand for the home valuation. But if you're sitting on a 2 or 3% interest rate, the chances of you selling and buying something else is super slim unless you have to. And that's where we come into play. So Revaluate doesn't look at any property data to make predictions. What we look for are life events. We're looking for people that have urgency to transact, where the urgency isn't based on a rate, it's based on the event. And I would argue that these opportunities, while much harder to find, are higher quality because, again, life is forcing the move and their decision isn't based on the interest rate, it's based on what's happening. So they have a greater need to transact. So what we do simply as a company is we score and rank your database from 0 to 100. The people that score over 80, we're predicting them to transact within the next 6 months. And the things we look for are the data Ds. Now, I know most of you probably know these or heard of them, so I won't read every single one of them, but what we're looking for are people that die, downsize, go through divorce, get married, have babies, all of life's events that force people into making moves. And the intent is, if we can show you where these people hide in your database, the needles in the haystack, what that's going to allow you to do is leverage this data in an effort to get in front of the consumer early and first, to beat the competition and ultimately convert more out of the database. Now, I don't know if each of you track why consumers move. So the transactions that you've had this year, if you're tracking why consumers move, much of our data is showing that many of the people who are transacting are the people that have to, again, due to rates, And life events are big drivers to this. So this is a great complement to what's happening in the market, and we can help you get connected with those folks. Now, again, the way we do things is very different. As I mentioned, all those other companies use an address or property data in order to make predictions or build lists. The way that we do it, we need an email address. And the way that we know they're going through a life event is we take that email and we're able to monitor what the consumer posts on social media. We can track what they search for online through their internet search history. We've got access to credit card and bank card spending and government data. Now, as an example, maybe you had somebody in your database a month or two ago begin to research divorce attorneys online. We'll see that through their internet search history. Then fast forward to yesterday or last week, we see that they charge a divorce attorney on their credit card. Obviously, that's an indication they're going through divorce. Now, we can't share the specific life event due to privacy reasons. So if any of you today were going through a life event, I couldn't share that with a marketer because that would violate your privacy. So we can't share the specific life event, but the way we get around that is through a score. The score is going to dictate which people or pieces and parts of your database that you should be in front of. So the way that it works is we need an email. We take that email address, we monitor these areas. Based on the data we see, we score. And then based on the scores, the people that score over 80, those are the people that you want to prioritize with your sales and marketing. When we look at the competition uses property data and they make predictions off of that. And we use life events. And life events drive transactions. So that's going to give you greater access to higher quality people. All right, so let's talk about the scoring system. There's really 3 different categories of scoring. And the best way to think about this is hot, warm, cold, or ABC. And the cold category there in blue, those are your not engaged movers. These are people that score from 0 to 39. And essentially, we're seeing no signs of a life event. So this is the part of the database that has the least chance of converting. Then in yellow, those are your engaged movers. These are consumers that score from 40 to 79. This is the part of the database where we're beginning to see signs of a life event. We just don't see enough data to be confident that they're going to transact within the next 6 months. In that divorce example that I just shared with you, we may see these consumers researching divorce attorneys online. We just haven't seen them make that charge on their credit card. And then this is also the phase where we begin doing marketing to the consumer. And I'll come back to that. But the goal is to generate hand raisers and leads. And then the very likely movers in the orangey red category, those are the people that score over 80. We know a life event has occurred and this is your hot list. So if you're making phone calls, these are the people that you want to call. If you have ISAs, these are the people they want to call. If you're doing mailers, instead of shotgun mailing everyone, if we can show you the people that have a life event, that's going to give you a much smaller audience and allow you to increase frequency with your marketing. If you're doing retargeting campaigns, many of our clients will retarget the top category and either all or a portion of the middle category, the yellow category there. And then if you're doing door knocking or drop bys, events, obviously the people that score over 80, those are prime targets for people for you to invite to those events. So the whole goal of this really is to automate the program and show you who to get in front of and when, so you're not spending a lot of time, money, and resources trying to figure out who in your database you should be in front of. So we can remove the obstacle, automate this so that you're getting in front of the right people at the right time and really being more efficient with your sales and marketing dollars. So that's the AI itself. The next thing that we're going to talk about is our marketing and the process at which we do things. Typically, we start with our data detox, and the data detox is really our free analysis. We're going to end there, but the data detox is really an opportunity for us to analyze your data, see how many contacts are missing contact information. We also show you how many listings occur in the database. We'll show you the ones that you won, the ones that you missed out on, but we're going to end with that. So I'll come back. Now, since we're looking for life events and not property data, as you know, life can change in a matter of seconds. And the goal is to get you in front of them as the life event occurs. In order to do that, we have to score them every day. So basically what we're doing is on a daily basis, we're looking to see new signs of data. If we do, the score will increase. Once it hits the score of 80 and above, you'll get a text and an email alert, and that's when it's time to take action. Now, we do also provide some marketing. Best way to think about this is it's kind of like a home bot where we want to help generate hand raisers and leads. And there's really three criteria in order for that to happen. I need an email, I need a physical, and they have to score at least 40. So why 40? I'm going to go back to the scoring right now. And if you look at the middle category, that's the category of your engaged mover. It begins at a score of a 40 and it goes to 79. And the reason that we are waiting to see signs of a life event is because we don't want to spam people and do shotgun marketing to someone who really could have no intention of transacting. So our intent here is to wait until we see signs of a life event. That way we can get in front of them at a very timely point. And as that life event progresses and they realize they need to make a move, the fact that we've been in front of them at a timely point is certainly going to increase chances of generating leads and hand raisers. When that happens once a month, we're sending them a branded email from you to the consumer where the consumer can see what their home valuation is that month. Now, we want to get them to click on that green box because once they click on the green box, we're going to drive them to a landing page. This landing page is going to be branded to you, the agent. The consumer can call, text, or email you. Off to the left is the home valuation. And then directly below that is the opportunity for the consumer to raise their hand and get a custom home value. Now, we want to encourage them to do that because we recognize that there's no one more qualified than you, the local real estate expert, to do this because you know the market, you know the area. And this is going to give you an opportunity to identify people further down the funnel and also give you a chance to get in front of their living room and do a listing presentation. Now, as they scroll down the page, they're going to see some data about the property, last sale amount, equity, appreciation. As we scroll further down the page, they're going to see a property description, photo, mortgage amount, tax amount. And then finally, at the bottom of the landing page, there's some action items the consumer can take. The default is getting the custom home valuation. They can also look at getting us buying a property, getting a refinancing. But the whole intent of this is to complement the life event data with marketing so that we can help take some of the heavy lifting off of your shoulders, tee up leads and hand raisers, and help you get in front of people who have higher intent and are further down the funnel. If you're using our marketing, we've designated the score of a 99 to reflect all hand raisers and leads from the marketing that we're doing today. So when you see when you go in your dashboard, or if you're using Follow Up Boss or Lofty, and you see a score of a 99, these are the most critical opportunities that you want to get in front of because they've raised their hand and requested the home valuation. Now, if you're not using our marketing, if you're using marketing from another source, score of a 99 will not populate in the dashboard. That's just specifically for our hand raisers from the marketing that we're doing on your behalf. In addition, we also track how many emails that go out, how many people visit the landing page, how many leads were generated. In this example alone, there were 15 leads generated last month. Our open rate has been extremely high, between 50 and 60%. From a trend perspective, what we're seeing is that, again, the marketing goes out at a 40. On average, we see people raising their hand at a 58, and then they shoot to a 99. So far, we've covered the ability for us to provide AI data based on life events. And then we've also covered the ability for us to complement that with marketing. What I'm going to finish with is our free analysis and some of the data that we're tracking for the free analysis that we offer. So this is our free analysis. Again, this is our starting point. The best way to think about this is it's almost like bringing your car into the mechanic, where they put your car in a lift and they say, okay, Eric, you need tires, you need brakes, oil looks okay. Essentially, what we're doing here is we're taking your database and we're putting it on a lift and we're trying to figure out ways to optimize performance. Again, this is our free audit. I encourage each of you to take advantage of this because this is going to give you insight into what's happening in your database, and it's also going to allow us to help you help us show you what we can clean up in your database today. So in this database, when we get a database, we give it a grade. Full disclosure, we've run tens of thousands of these, and 93% of the people we do this for get an F. Reason being, the grade only reflects how many people in your database that have a name, a phone number, a physical address, and an email address. And the reason we look for that is if you've got a full record, you're not limited from a marketing perspective. You can send mailers and CMAs, make phone calls, do internet marketing. So this database had about 4,700 people. The grade reflects how many of those people that have a full record. So in this example, out of 4,700 people, about half are 2,331 have a full record, leaving the remaining pieces and parts of the database missing a data point or more. Now, in this example, everybody had a name, 470 people were missing a phone number, 1,500 plus were missing an address, and then 805 were missing an email. And then there were 196 contacts labeled as suspicious. Suspicious doesn't mean shady. What it means is that these are your agents, your vendors, Mickey Mouse at DonaldDuck.com, profanity. The goal really is to take all of that out of the scoring, put it in its own category, and we pull it out of the scoring. Now, if we don't have an email address, we're unable to score them for the life of it. We need an email, again, in order to monitor social media, internet search history, credit card and bank card spending, and government data. Without it, we can't track the life of it. So when we get your database, we're going to come up with a total number here. There's 4,712. If you see directly below that, it says monitored, 3,711. All that is your total, pulling out the ones without an email, pulling out your suspicious contacts. That gives us a net number of contacts in your database that we can score and rank for a life event. Now, we can do all of these, none of these, some of these, but this is our baseline for pricing as well. Now, the data that we can clean up phone numbers, emails, physical addresses, and in order for us to be able to tell you what we can clean up, the analysis is super critical for us to know that. Now, from an address perspective, there isn't a vendor in the industry that is more accurate. Now, on average, we find 50 to 60% of missing phone numbers, emails, physical addresses. So it's a great way to fill in the gaps and also create efficiencies, because if you have inaccurate data, then naturally that's really going to impact your marketing and waste a lot of time and money. So that's the red and green box. I'm going to move over here to the orangey yellow and blue box here. Now, this is the box everybody hates to see, because what we do is we do a 12-month look back, and what we're looking for is to provide a summary of how many people in your database that A, have an active listing today, or B, had a listing that sold or expired over the last 12 months. Now, I know everybody hates to see this, but the intent of this is if you're considering buying leads or lists or working your database, many times the larger the database, the more opportunities we see falling through the cracks. And our recommendation is, instead of buying leads or lists, why not recycle the leads that you already have in your database? Because the cost of leads and scarcity, it's just too costly. And where we see the most gold, inevitably, is the database. So this is an opportunity for us to provide some trends, and then you can leverage this data in an effort to allow us to help you get in front of future opportunities. We also know that the best indication of future behavior is past behavior. And again, if we can show you these trends, then we can make an assumption that moving forward, new people will list. Now, in order to provide this level of data, there's 2 data points that we need. We need an email address and a physical address. And what we do is we look back last 12 months. By the way, it's also ongoing data that we track. And what we're looking for is to see how many people in the database that A, have an active listing, or B, have one that sold or expired. In this database, they're missing both, so we can only look at about half their database. But based on half their database, we did find 154 listings. Those 154 listings were valued at just over $98 million. If we apply a 3% commission, and you can always change that to reflect your market if you get more or less, that's a total opportunity of $2,943,000. Now, the good news is they closed one of these listings. The bad news is they missed out on 153, or $2,932,000 in listing GCI. This is very common for databases that are large. The more opportunities that or more contacts you have in the database, the more opportunities that fall through the cracks, because it's just very challenging to be able to manage a database this size. Now, as I mentioned, not only is this our free data analysis, but it's also ongoing data that we track. And what I mean by that is, once a week on Sunday nights, if there's any new listings in your database, we populate them here. We're going to show you the address, the status, list date, price point, listing agent, and then we'll show you the ones that you want and the ones that you missed out on. Now, if I click on the address here, it's going to show me the name of the consumer. So Michael Sims in McKinney, Texas, has an active listing with Audrey for $549,000. Now, a couple of other things just to touch on here. If you see a score of a 100, that means that you missed the opportunity and they've listed with someone else, so you're going to want to take them out of your marketing. Now, if you do work with buyers, there could be an opportunity for you to reach out to them, though, and see if they're working with an agent to buy another property. If you see a score of a 99, those are the hand raisers from the marketing that we're doing on your behalf. And those are the most critical opportunities because, again, they've raised their hand and they want the home valuation. The folks that are consumers that score from 80 to 98, those are the people that we know have a life event, and you're going to personally want to follow up with them, whether that's phone calls, emails, retargeting, mailers, door knocking, whatever your strategy is. We know those are the people that have the life event. You're going to want to aggressively get in front of them. All right. So in summary, there's really 5 things that we do, and I forgot to mention one, but that's okay. The very first thing that we do is we provide AI for life events. And if you're looking for sellers, we know that most people aren't selling due to rates. If we can show you the people that have a life event, then naturally that's going to give you access to those consumers early and first to get ahead of the competition. We can also complement the data with marketing. One thing I forgot to mention is that we do and we can run an analysis on your emails. So if you do a lot of email marketing as part of spamming, if you have a high bounce rate, that is an indication of spamming. So as part of our service, we will run an analysis and audit on your emails to show you which emails are no longer active so you can pull them out of your marketing and be in compliance and not have a high bounce rate. The fourth thing that we do is we can clean up data. We can find emails, phone numbers, missing physical addresses. And then finally, this is our free data analysis. It's also ongoing data that we track. And the whole intent of this is to provide insight into data quality, along with the total number of listings coupled with the won and lost commission. Whole intent of our program is to proactively monitor and score the database so that you can be more efficient with your time and sales and marketing dollars.
The agents who understand their databases are going to have a massive advantage over the next few years. Not because AI replaces relationships, but because AI plus clean data increases the ability to maintain those relationships. Most agents are sitting on opportunities they can't even see yet. But if you want to better understand what's actually happening inside your database, we put together a free database audit. And if these conversations about AI, real estate, and relationship intelligence are interesting to you, subscribe to the blog and our channel. I think this shift is just getting started.